Beginning with its 5th chapter, Matthew's Gospel pulls together a number of Jesus' teachings to form a very long sermon, commonly known as the Sermon on the Mount. This morning's short passage, found in verses 13 through 16 of the 5th chapter, is a sort of hinge within that Sermon on the Mount between the familiar Beatitudes and the difficult instructions that follow. Jesus uses two common everyday images to tell his disciples to remember who they are. And like that second generation of Christians in Matthew's community, we listen with the crowd to hear that we too are the salt of the earth and the light of the world. For you and me, salt may seem like an odd choice for a metaphor, but salt had many important meanings for Jesus' audience. Salt was a cleansing agent. Infected body parts could be soaked in salt water for disinfecting. It was used as a preservative for meat and other foods. As a spice, salt was traditionally used to prepare a body for burial. And newborn babies were rubbed with salt to promote good health. The eating of salt was widely used as a symbol and sacred sign in ancient Palestine as a covenant of friendship. In fact, salt was so valuable to the ancient people that it was sometimes used as a unit of exchange. And so Jesus' reference to these poor peasants who made up his audience as a salt of the earth was more than a pretty or useful metaphor. It was another way of saying, you are important and valuable. Something they probably weren't used to hearing about themselves. There are probably many of you here today that aren't accustomed to hearing that about yourself either. You haven't heard enough times how valuable you are. You have heard so many messages to the contrary that you may have even come to believe the lie that you are unimportant. Like the peasants who felt powerless against the Roman imperial rule, you and I may feel powerless against today's political and religious authorities that are determined to keep us in our place. But just as Jesus looked into the eyes of his listeners and told them that in God's eyes they were valuable, that they would play important roles in bringing about the reign of God upon the earth, just as Jesus brought that message to the marginalized people of that day, I tell you, you are just as valuable and important, and for the same reason. But in his reference to salt, Jesus points out that salt that loses its salty taste isn't worth a whole lot. Salt isn't as flavorful when it's contaminated with other minerals. Pure salt is the good stuff that the buyer at the market would have been wanting, not the salt that had been cut with filler, which the dishonest merchant might have tried to pass off as pure and authentic. Jesus was saying to the people, you've got it. You've received the pure, unadulterated, and powerful message that God's love knows no bounds. Now hold on to that message and don't let it get contaminated with anything that looks like it. Don't introduce anything else into the message you've received, or all you will have managed to do is to weaken the message. You and I have been given the same message. God's love knows no bounds. It's a powerful message, a message that some religions and preachers have managed to contaminate with their own filler. They have placed boundaries upon God's love, declaring that some people are loved by God and others are not. This sort of contaminated message is like salt that has been contaminated with filler and lost its flavor. It's good for nothing more than to be thrown out and ground under our feet. Salt can bring life to a dull and lifeless plate of food. In the same way, you and I have a message of hope that can bring life to people who have been subsisting on nothing more than the dull and lifeless spiritual diet which their churches have been setting before them. We are the powerful agents of transformation that can change that. And Jesus said that we must not keep it to ourselves. The salt, the church, is not a secret society. Even as he compared his listeners to salt, Jesus also described them as light. Eugene Peterson's modern-day paraphrase of verses 14 and 15 rephrases the text in a way that may hit home for you. He has Jesus saying, "You're here to be light, bringing out the God colors in the world." God is not a secret to be kept. We're going public with this, as public as a city on a hill. If I make you light bearers, you don't think I'm going to hide you under a bucket, do you? I'm putting you on a light stand. The powerful message we have been given is one that's meant for the rest of the world. The only way things are going to change in this world is when the light bearers, you and me, begin to take that light to the rest of the world. It's our privilege as light bearers and our responsibility as people of faith to reveal the truth to the rest of the world. A truth that describes God's love as an open invitation to everyone, including the LGBT community. This is a powerful message, one that we cannot take lightly. And it reminds me of a part of Nelson Mandela's 1994 inaugural speech. He said, "Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, and famous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in all of us. And when we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. When people encounter us as individuals and as communities of faith, they should see and sense more than what they have become accustomed to receiving. They should feel hope. They should feel the possibility of a different world marked by unheard of reconciliation, simple truth-telling, outrageous generosity, and love of one's enemies. We're called not to make just a refreshing, but a reinvigorating difference in the world, so that all who watch us will feel new life, new vitality, new possibility, and new hope. Jesus has asked us to look at ourselves in a new way, and for some people, an unfamiliar way. unfamiliar to the point that it may even be uncomfortable. We are more accustomed to the message that we are not only sinners, but sinners of the lowest degree. We are not accustomed to looking at ourselves as important, as valuable, as critical to the spread of God's love. And we may not be so comfortable with that image because with it comes responsibility. A responsibility to share with others this message of freedom which we have been given. It's not enough to see yourself differently than you may have seen yourself in the past. If you are a Christ follower, then you have been given the responsibility to help others see themselves differently too. You are as powerful as salt and as brilliant as light. The message is thousands of years old, but it hasn't reached all the people it needs to reach. So it's up to you and me. It's up to us to allow the light within us to shine out to the world. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross said, "People are like stained glass windows. They sparkle and shine when the sun is out, but when the darkness sets in, their true beauty is revealed only if there is light from within." May God bless each of us with the grace, the desire, and the courage necessary to illumine the world with the light of God's truth that resides within our spirits.